Welcome to our essential Cuba travel guide. If you're planning a trip to this incredible island, you've come to the right place. From its rich history to its breathtaking landscapes, Cuba offers an unforgettable experience. Today, we'll cover everything you need to know before you go, so let's dive in. First things first, how do you get to Cuba? Most major international airlines offer flights to Havana, the country's capital, and other cities like Varadero and Santiago de Cuba. Depending on where you're coming from, you might need a tourist visa. For Americans, there are specific travel categories that you need to meet for reasons to visit the island, like educational, cultural, religious reasons, visiting family and more. Be sure to check your country's travel policies before booking your trip. In my own experience as a US citizen, I was able to travel with a group out of Mexico, which really helped facilitate the process. Cuba has a unique dual currency system, the CUP, Cuban peso, and previously the CUC, convertible peso, which has now been largely phased out. Tourists mainly use the CUP. You can exchange money at airports, banks, or exchange offices, but keep in mind, US dollars come with extra fees, so they're not exactly the VIP currency here. You can use US currency in Cuba, but I would highly recommend using CUP instead to get better bang for your buck. And credit cards from American banks? Let's just say they'll be taking a vacation too. Bottom line, bring enough cash or risk your budget doing the salsa without you. When it comes to accommodations, you've got options. For a truly authentic experience, stay in a casa particular. These are private homes that rent out rooms to travelers. They're affordable and offer a chance to connect with locals. If you prefer more amenities, Cuba also has all-inclusive resorts, especially in tourist hubs like Varadero. Please note that Havana does not have any all-inclusive accommodations. Getting around Cuba is part of the adventure. Classic cars, called almendrones, are often used as shared taxis. Buses like Viazol are great for traveling between cities, and renting a bike is a fun way to explore smaller towns. In my own experience, our group took a ride in these classic cars for a tour into our nightly destinations, and was one-of-a-kind experience. Just be prepared for occasional delays, it's all part of the Cuban charm. Cuba is brimming with incredible destinations. Here are a few must-sees. Havana. Stroll through old Havana, marvel at the colonial architecture, and ride in a classic car. Viñales. Famous for its lush tobacco fields and limestone cliffs, perfect for hiking or horseback riding. Trinidad. A UNESCO World Heritage Site with cobblestone streets and pastel-colored houses. Varadero. Known for its pristine beaches, ideal for relaxing or water sports. This was one of my personal stops and would highly recommend. Side note, it's about a 2-hour drive from Varadero to Havana. Whether you're a history buff or a beach lover, Cuba has something for everyone. Which one will you fall in love with first? Cuban cuisine is all about simple yet flavorful dishes. Don't miss trying ropa vieja, shredded beef, moros and cristianos, rice and beans, and tostones, fried plantains. For drinks, you can't go wrong with a classic mojito, daiquiri, or Cuba Libre. And don't forget to sip on some Cuban coffee. It's like a bold wake-up call in a cup, strong, rich, and guaranteed to jumpstart your day. And if you are a seafood lover, I would highly recommend visiting one of the local vendors. Lobster is very affordable. Music and dance are everywhere. From salsa to sun, you'll feel the rhythm of the island. When interacting with locals, be polite and friendly. Learning a few basic Spanish phrases will go a long way in showing respect and building connections. Quick cultural note. Avoid using the word papaya to refer to the fruit. It's slang for something very different in Cuba. Also, don't take pictures of local police, military personnel, or even locals without their permission, which can be seen as a threat. In addition to this, you'll want to refrain from talking politics in Cuba. One wrong discussion could land you in big trouble. Cuba is generally very safe for travelers, but like anywhere, it's important to stay vigilant. Keep your belongings secure, especially in crowded areas, and avoid walking alone late at night. Also, tap water isn't safe to drink, so stick to bottled water. One thing to note, internet access in Cuba is limited compared to what you might be used to. You'll need to purchase an Atexa internet card to access Wi-Fi hotspots in public areas or hotels. Please note it's very difficult to access internet in Cuba. Embrace the chance to unplug and immerse yourself in the Cuban way of life. In my own experience, I tried to purchase a plan with my phone carrier prior to my trip to communicate from Cuba, but this option was less than ideal. The best recommendation is to purchase a cheap phone in Mexico, for example, or whatever country you travel through. Remember the Casa Particular I mentioned earlier? These homes may have the option to rent Wi-Fi connection, which is a great option. In my case it was $5 USD, which was a no-brainer. Otherwise, when you get to Cuba you can find a local vendor to purchase a chip for your phone. Before we wrap up, here are some bonus tips to make your trip even smoother. Carry your own roll of toilet paper or at least some tissue paper. It's in short supply in many places, including some restaurants and accommodations. In my own experience, I stayed in an all-inclusive hotel in Varadero, which was amazing, however, came with only one roll of toilet paper. Asking for another roll was not as easy as picking up the phone and calling the front desk, but rather having to find the housekeeping personnel to get more paper. Better to be prepared than caught off guard. Convenience stores, as you know them, aren't common in Cuba, especially in places like Varadero or Havana. Instead, you'll find small stands that sell basic items. Stock up on necessities before your trip. Pack a basic first aid kit with essentials like Tylenol, bandages, and any medication you might need. These items aren't always easy to find locally. Keep in mind the political and economic realities of Cuba. With an average monthly salary of just $20, your tips and kindness can make a meaningful difference. Show appreciation and bring a positive attitude to every interaction. In my own experience, I never felt a single moment of feeling threatened in any way, but as with anywhere you travel, be mindful and vigilant of your surroundings. Trust me, a little preparation goes a long way in ensuring your Cuban adventure is as hassle-free as possible. And there you have it, everything you need to know before traveling to Cuba. From its rich history to its warm hospitality, this island is truly one of a kind. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let us know in the comments where you're most excited to visit. Thanks for watching, and hasta luego.